Hi, everyone. I'm tuning in today to teach you about a really powerful ancient Hawaiian forgiveness ritual that has been extremely powerful in my own life, and I also use it with a few of my clients. Now, I'm going to teach you how and why it works, and this mantra, I'm going to encourage you to try it out because it could be the real shift for you that's going to open things up for you. Now, it's 4 very simple, easy steps. The first one is I'm sorry. Number 2, please forgive me. Number 3, thank you. And number 4, I love you. Now, you can take any negative experience with a situation, an event, an ordeal, or even another person. So we're talking here relationship breakdown, and you can turn it around. It is that powerful. Now, these shifts that can occur are both internal, where you start to think differently, perceive the world differently, and also feel differently with the chemical reaction in the body from the brain through your hormones. And you will also experience external shifts around you where signs, symbols, and synchronicities start to shift, and you just cannot help but wonder, was it this oponopono prayer that caused it? Now, I'm going to refer to a particular example to help you understand this a little bit better. And it is through the experience of Dr. Lenn. And he was based in Hawaii, and he was asked to work in a psychiatric patient's ward in Hawaii. And some of these patients were declared clinically and criminally insane. They were extremely violent. The turnover in this particular ward and hospital was very high, so staff couldn't handle it. However, once Dr. Lenn worked with these patients, he was able to heal them. These patients were able to walk out of the hospital, no longer have a mental illness, no longer declared clinically insane, no longer experiencing schizophrenia, bipolar, and it was all through this healing modality. Now, I want you to think about a particular aspect of yourself or another person where you've experienced anger, anxiety, resentment, hatred, and all those yucky, itty-gritty feelings. And we're going to turn that around. So we're going to use this as the focal point. Now, in order for this to work, you must base the assumption that everything in your reality is 100% your responsibility. 100%. So the good and the bad, everything that happens to you. Now, it's not happening to you. That's the first fault. It's happening for you. Now, what that means is that you are basically attracting things around you through your mental thoughts. And based on this premise that if you take 100% responsibility for everything around you, then there's an understanding that everything is connected. We are all connected to each other, and we are at one with creation. Creation is one infinite being. This is a really, really powerful state of awareness. Now, we need to eliminate the distortion that we are separated. Now, let's go back to when you were a wee little baby, that from the moment you were born, the minute a baby is born, the second, it does not know that it is separated from its mother. There is this divine sacred connection between the mother's heartbeat and the child, and it's connected through the umbilical cord. However, once the child enters the world, it has this awareness and understanding that everything is one and that we are connected. And that's because our soul understands this at a really deep core level. However, the humanness in us needs to start identifying and creating definitions for things around us. So all of a sudden, the baby needs to come to this realization that it is separated. However, that separation is an illusion. We are not separated from our mother and then one another. It's only an illusion. So through this distortion of like an understanding, everything really happens in our mind. So that is based on our perception, our beliefs, our emotions, and our experiences. So because this baby, which is every single baby in the world, you once experienced this, starts to identify itself as being separate from the mother, instead of focusing its life on that connectedness, it starts to identify with the separatedness. And therefore, we start living our lives into being a toddler, child, early adulthood, teenagers, all the way into adulthood, where we are focusing on the separateness instead of the connectedness. Okay, they are two polar opposites here. Now, if you can identify with your separateness, then you can definitely identify with the connectedness, because you once believed that you were connected to everything and you were at one. Okay. Now, the power you have is really underestimated. Okay. This is something that I work on in my own life, and it ripples into the work I do with a lot of my clients, because we want to rewrite the story. The story and the definitions that you give are basically creating the life around you. But that power, we need to stop outsourcing a lot of our power. Even when you work with the healer, or you work with a coach, or in any sort of industry, you should never be thanking, or no, you always say thank you, but you are not thanking them for healing you. It's you that healed you. You are the one who invested. You took the time. You did all the work in order to get yourself to that point. They were just the bridge. Okay, this is a really important point here. Never outsource your power. The idea that there's this savior outside of us and only they can save us is, I'm sorry, but it's really a disgruntled illusion that has taken us away from our spirit and away from our soul. So going back to this simple prayer or mantra, it's called Ho'oponopono. It's really ancient Hawaiian ritual, and there are 4 steps to resetting yourself. And basically what we want to start off with is identifying what went wrong. So often we're conditioned and trained in our lives to step away from resentment and tension that happens in our life, and we bury it under the carpet. We may not speak up to family members or colleagues or friends about things that upset us, and we hold things in and bottle them in. However, that is actually causing more problems than the actual problem, okay? Because that then starts to build up. So going back to Dr. Lenn, he understands how energy works, and he was a really powerful healer. He was able to heal his patients, not through working with them physically. He sat in his office, he looked at their files, and he talked to their files through these 4 steps, through the Ho'oponopono prayer. And when he was working with the patient's files, he was actually focusing on himself, because he understood that we are all connected. And by saying the 4 steps to himself, he was able to transfer that energy and that almost like that field around him across to his patients. And therefore his patients experience the healing just like that. Now, step 1, I'm going to teach you the 4 steps now. I'm going to really encourage you to try these out in your life. Now, to start off with, before you even start with the steps, I'm going to encourage you to focus on a particular area in your life, a situation. You need to get very specific about what is going on. And this is, for lack of a better term, an area of your life that needs fixing, okay? Now, sometimes identifying that there is a problem really tells us through the law of polarity that there is a solution at the other end of this. There is not one problem under the face of this earth that cannot be solved and resolved. However, it's the way we are approaching it that has gotten us into that mess in the first place, okay? So I really want you to believe in that power, because it does exist and miracles have happened through this belief. Now, step number 1, you identify, I am sorry. You say, I am sorry. Why are you saying sorry? Because you need to take responsibility and release some of that resistance, because everything that you create that is happening in your life around you, you have created, okay? It is never the other person's problem. This victimhood, I have no patience with people in their victim mentality. I can see it from a mile away, and I'm like, nope, you need to literally step out of that. And this is really, really deep and powerful inner work that I've been working on myself and with my clients, not patients. So number 1 is saying, I'm sorry. And once you accept what is going on by saying you're sorry, there's a shift. Step number 2 is saying, please forgive me. Now, the egotistical mind is going to want to step in and say, why do I need to be forgiven? I'm so perfect. There's no way I'm saying sorry. However, taking responsibility is going to release all negative emotion. There is no need for you to hold on to this. So saying forgive me releases it. Now, forgiveness is, I can do a whole course on forgiveness. Forgiveness is one of the most, really, really up there with like healing people. There have been miracles and shifts that take place just with forgiveness. Step number 3 involves you saying thank you. Now you want to focus on the situation because or the person involved, because every situation, bad and good, there is always a teachable moment. And by saying thank you, you put yourself into the attitude of gratefulness. And gratitude is actually the highest vibration we have. Underneath enlightenment is gratitude. So it's all the way up there. And gratitude is, hopefully it's in everything that you do, in all encompassing. Now, step number 4, the final step, is saying I love you. Why do we say I love you? Because love is the ultimate truth. And it's our default setting. When we are operating outside of love, then it hits us. It shows up in our life through resistance, through tension, through facades and fakeness and fear especially. And that is not who we are at our true core. So I'm going to encourage you to focus on an aspect of yourself and either work on yourself, or if there is someone or a situation that you want to work on with, hold their photo in front of you, stalk them online, Google them, do what you have to do, have their image in front of you and start working on this. I promise you, if you have ever worked with me or you've ever listened to any of my videos, the miraculous inner work that takes place when you do this properly is such an important tool moving forward. And this is like, it could be the basis for opening up amazing things in your life, because you are always at one with everything. I'm going to encourage you to try this. Please let me know how you go. If I taught you something new, please let me know, because I always love hearing from you. And thank you so much for tuning in.